Hi, and welcome to the American Landscape. Today we're heading up US 101 in California to see Mendenhall's Museum of Gasoline Pumps in Buellton, California. It's just 43 miles from Santa Barbara, 138 miles from Los Angeles, and 294 miles from San Francisco. But first, a quick stop at Stearns Wharf in Santa Barbara to see the early morning sunrise. This is a really cool pier. You can drive out onto it. There's restaurants, shops, museum. It's a really fun stop along US 101. One country, 50 states, and many roads. It's all about the American road trip. So please join me, and together we'll visit roadside attractions, fascinating museums, unique landmarks, and offbeat points of interest.
Hi, welcome to the Wrigley Mansion. Come on in.
Welcome to the Museum of the Forgotten Warriors.
But most importantly, we'll experience the inspiring people and grandeur of the American landscape. Mark?
Yes.
I'm Greg.
Hi, glad to meet you.
You too.
Welcome to Mendenhall's Museum.
Oh, thanks for having us. It looks like you've got quite a collection here, and I'm guessing this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah, we have quite a bit. We're like the American pickers on steroids.
All right.
There's 90 years of collecting between my dad and I, and just a lot of really cool stuff.
That's amazing. So would motorhead be a right term for you guys?
Yeah, I mean that's probably the main word for us. I grew up as a mechanic, and my dad had a service station out on the corner here, and we raced every venue from circle track to drag racing and off-road and land speed. So
wow.
Kind of racing's in our blood, and also gasoline memorabilia. My dad had a service station for 25 years, a Richfield station out here on the avenue, which used to be Highway 101 when it went through the center of town, and then my wife and I leased a Chevron station at the north end of town for 25 years, so gas and oil is in our blood.
Wow. So would you say the gas supported the hobby of the racing, or the racing came after you were around cars so much?
Well, I think the mechanical aspect of the service station actually paid for the racing and stuff, because we never made very much money on gasoline back in the day. It was just kind of a lost leader, but there was gasoline stations on every corner of every little town, USA, back then. I think in Buellton here, we probably had 15 stations on the avenue, or 101, back in the 50s, 60s, and we're only 5 blocks long. We'd wash the windshields and check the air in the tires, and gave full service, and checked the oil and water and whatever. And
you probably couldn't even do self-service in those days, could you?
Oh yeah.
Could you? Wow, I don't even remember. I always remember my parents pulling up, and some guy in a smart little outfit would run out, and you'd maybe get some green or blue stamps.
Oh yeah, no, I grew up as a kid, and we were trained to give full service, and that's it's kind of funny, because through the years when I ended up getting my station, we have self-service. It's like when you hear the bell ding and you want to go out and start talking to the people and washing their windshield. Now it's self-service, and up in Oregon though they still will pump your gas.
Yeah, I think New Jersey.
Yeah.
There's a few places that are left, and I don't know if the people appreciate that today. I'm not quite 60 yet, but I still remember that full service with no extra price. It was just there, and some places gave you little tchotchkes, maybe the 76 ball for your antenna.
back in the day, back in the 60s and 70s, there was all kinds of giveaway stuff. Arco had little dolls, and they had the Noah's Ark and little animals, and Chevron.
I have the Noah's Ark. I think still maybe my mom's attic. We've got that Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Wow, I totally forgot about that.
I have one down here in the collection.
And you get glasses, all kinds of stuff.
Glasses, plates. They give you thermometers, and anything just as to get you to come into the station. Yeah. Blue chip stamps and green stamps. I actually gave those away when I was a kid too.
Wow. And a gas war back then isn't what we think of today when we send our guys over to the Middle East. It was competition between stations, right?
You and the station next door and the station on the other corner. Yeah, it's just who wanted to outdo the other guy and lowball them, and then if you wanted to sell any gas, you better go down to your competitor and.
So did you ever get out in the corner and shake your fist at the guy? I can't believe you're going that low.
Oh, we did a lot of shaking things at the guy back then. In our collection, we have about 2,500 signs. I have 1,500 license plates. I have over 100 gas pumps. I have 40 neon signs, and just a lot of cool memorabilia. It's not all gas and oil. I mean, so a lot of times when the ladies come here, you know, they get to see stuff too and hear good stories. It's not just a giant man cave like my wife says she lives in. But
yeah, well, when I first walked in, I'm thinking, did we bring any cigars with us? Let's get the booze out.
My wife and I have been married for 51 years. My mom and dad went to the same high school that my wife and I did. They graduated in 48, and my wife and I graduated in 70, and all three of our kids have graduated, and one of our grandkids. So our roots are in Buellton, in the Santa Ynez Valley here.
Oh, and, that's great.
So it's kind of cool. Like I said, my dad had a service station out on the corner in the late 50s, so this was our wrecking yard lot originally. Oh. So in 78, he sold the service station and went out on the road collecting, because collecting was his passion. And he liked the gas globes and gas pumps, and he had a double-decker trailer, and he would go all over the United States, and he'd be gone 3 or 4 months, and he'd come back, and the trailer, he'd look like the grapes of wrath. The tires are like this, and he had 4 flats in the back, and I'd be unloading all this stuff, and I'm going, Dad, what are we going to do with all this crap? You know, little did I know that I would get into the collecting too, and collecting is a habit that becomes an obsession. Back then, you could get this stuff for little or nothing. You know, you could go to an old bolt plant and climb in the attic and get globes, and, you know, go behind an old barn and find a gas pump, and they would give it to you. But today, this stuff has completely gone ballistic. It was fun to put this all together with my dad. He's kind of started it, and, you know, hanging signs on walls and, you know, measuring for this and that. When you film, you're going to see that almost every wall is completely covered with signs. And like my dad says, if you walk into a room and you see a blank, you know somebody stole something from you.
Wow, that's great. That's funny.
But actually, we've been pretty lucky. We do a lot of events here. We do tours daily, usually Monday through Saturday, and usually 10 to 1. They're all by appointment only. They need to call us first, and it takes about an hour and a half. All of our tours are a guided tour. That way they get all the history and stuff, and we charge a $15 donation for our tours.
That's not bad.
And we do a lot of other events. We've done weddings, funerals, class reunions, car clubs, and whatever, you know, that come. And at night it's pretty cool because I have 40 neon signs, and when this place lights up at night, you're in a whole different aura.
Oh, I bet.
It's pretty cool. Probably about 30 years ago, my dad and a couple guys were having a barbecue and a couple beers, and he said, you know, we need to do something to recognize the Dry Lakes racing community. Basically, that's the people that race at Bonneville and the Dry Lakes that race for time, the fastest people in the world. Oh. And so they started the Dry Lakes Racing Hall of Fame. So this is just like a baseball Hall of Fame or a football Hall of Fame. This is the home of the Dry Lakes Racing Hall of Fame. Right here.
Wow.
And so all the fastest guys and gals in the world have been coming here for the last 27 years to be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So it's pretty prestigious, and I have a 40-foot glass display case down here that's got a lot of pictures and memorabilia from our events and stuff.
So this was a wrecking yard?
Yeah, this was our wrecking yard originally, and all these garages were full of cars and parts and stuff, and, you know, eventually, you know, when my dad sold the business in front, then we just kind of cleaned everything up and started displaying our collection.
So I noticed not only you got all these great signs, but I didn't notice at first, these are really cool old light poles.
Yeah, they came from Pasadena.
Oh, well, that's right. You know, it's more close to where I'm at.
See the candelabra one down there at the end, the big tall one? Yeah, they all came from down in the...
Well, that's pretty cool. And then this is a kind of pump I think we talked about where it fills up and you knew it was filled with gas, and as you pumped it came down?
Yeah, this is what they call a visible. And this particular pump is a rush, and they called it a stovepipe because it looks like a stovepipe. But the visible pumps, most of them had like a 10-gallon cylinder. Okay. And if you pulled into a gas station, it would be full of gas. And as you started pumping your gas, it'd come down 1 gallon, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you could see how much gas you were pumping into your car. And most of the cars back then, you know, the Model A's and stuff like that, they only had like a 10-gallon tank. Okay. So they could almost fill up with just one gas pump like that.
Wow, look at, now that's a dragster, huh?
Yeah, that's a 50s dragster, raced, built in the late 50s and raced in the 60s. And as you'll see, most of our race cars were sponsored by P. Soup Andersons because we knew the family, and that particular restaurant kind of put Buellton on the map.
I saw that, and I was going to ask you. So they were, you say they really put you on the map, maybe that's city-wise, but you've got a connection personally with them.
Yeah, with we were friends with them.
Now, how fast would a vehicle like this go?
With a flathead in it, I think they went like 119, but they put an injected Cadillac in here, and they went 134.
Wow. Now, for those who don't know, and this time it's not me, can you tell me or tell our viewers, what's the difference between, you said flathead versus the alternative?
Well, this is a flathead, and these were old Ford flatheads, and later they had overheads, and the heads had the valves in the heads.
Yeah.
The flatheads, the valves were in the block.
Okay. That is very cool. Now, is that all the fuel you needed? Mm-hmm. And is that a safety issue, weight issue, combined issue?
The drag car, you're only going a quarter mile,
Yeah.
So, but it depends on the engine. If you have a blown Chrysler, they're using up a lot of gas instantly, where, that 2-gallon tank is plenty enough for a flathead.
And what is this shooting out sparks and stuff when there are flames?
Yeah, they'll flame out there.
I gotta say, that was exciting to see at a drag race to go. Oh, that's amazing. And is that a typical safety suit of the day?
Yeah, that's basically the fire suit that my dad wore back then.
Was it really safe?
Well, what was safe? I mean, if you look inside the car, you're sitting on the rear end, So, I mean, if you blow a rear end, you're not...
You said look in there, I'm going to look.
Yeah.
Is that, oh my God, yeah. Wow. Oh my God, look, the or it's not a transaxle, it's just the axle, right?
That's the rear end housing,
That might rattle the boys a little bit when you're shifting.
That's why you have a little 1/4-inch plate welded on the back side of it, so it keeps you a boy.
Wow.
But most of our rooms are like this. There's license plates in all the rafters, and a lot of our signs, and these are, I have like 400 of these globes that are up and lit.
So that's technically called a globe.
Yeah.
And they would sit, like, let's say it was sitting on this pump, it would...
Or like that one.
Or like that one that's right there.
These gas pumps right here, yeah. Wow. So all it was, told what kind of gas you're selling, just like, the decal on the pump.
Well, I see that one there, the Gilmore's already telling you it's got something extra.
Yeah.
Was it tetraethyl? Tetraethyl.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Gilmore, I've never heard of Gilmore Red Lion. Were there tons of different gas companies back in this time?
There was hundreds of gas companies back in the 20s and 30s, and what happened was either they went belly up or they got conglomerated together.
So your dad was a Richfield guy?
Yeah, my dad had the Richfield station out here on the corner, and that's why Richfield is kind of my favorite collectible. Wow.
That's a great truck.
Yeah.
Can I play with that?
Sure.
Take that out I have something almost like that at home, but it's a fire truck. We found it when my grandmother died. She's she was 100, well, not nearly. She was only 101, and we found an old fire truck that needs to be restored.
Yeah, they made a Texaco.
That's truck. Awesome. Oh, maybe it's not a fire truck. Maybe it's a Texaco.
It might be. It might have been a tanker.
Well, I'll have to call those picker guys or somebody.
Yeah. But Atlantic merged with Richfield in '66. I was in high school then.
Okay.
And to become Arco. So that's what it is today.
Yeah, I kind of remember that because when we first moved to Huntington in '70, there was one by, so it was still said Atlantic Richfield not that long after we became Arco. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what we're saying. We're getting our ARC and all the other little goodies and stuff.
Yeah, even in this display case, it shows a lot of the giveaway stuff. Like a little medical first aid kit, and they had little maps and a lot of giveaway. They had plates and glasses and stamps. And
that's very cool. Is that a bug spray with the Richfield name on it too?
Oh. Yeah.
Now, as a petroleum company, they probably had interest in other things, maybe like bug spray. I'm sure they're making a lot of
they had
side
chemicals
things,
and stuff. Yeah, they have outboard motor oil and the regular oils and stuff. But yeah, they would sell little handy oilers and stuff.
That's quite a collection.
I have a few cars that are like unmolested, original. This is the 1923 Studebaker, so it's 99 years old, and this is what they call a dual cowl Phaeton. See, it's got a windshield for the back seat, and
that's interesting.
Just kind of cool, for people to see something that was, like it was originally. But, they would put oil on the running boards and,
whatever they needed to carry.
Yeah,
right?
whatever they needed to carry. This is kind of a cool safe. This safe is like a bank safe.
Look at that.
They call it a cannonball because it looks like a cannonball, but look how intricate it is with all the...
Oh, yeah. It's like, isn't this what I love about stuff back, I want to say in the day? Mm-hmm. There's no
what happened
need
was
for that, is there? But
all the bankers were, they would get robbed at night. They come to the house and make them go down to the bank and open the safe. Well, these safes had a clock mechanism in them. So they set them to where there's no way you could open the safe until business hours.
Yeah, but to ornately put all this stuff on,
oh yeah,
just because, or as your signature,
yeah, I mean,
it's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
So this room has a lot of old stuff. This is a cream separator. They put the milk in there. So
my mom's got one of those in her living room.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but
that barber chair came out of the local barber here in town, and I used to get my hair cut there when I was a kid.
Well, you got a lot of connections to things. It's hard to believe the church you went to is right here where you're living now, and then the barber chair. That's really cool. That's really a connection a lot of people don't have. That's wonderful. So it's not just cars. I mean,
no. There's stuff for other people to see other than just. This is an old music box that plays 78. It's pretty cool.
Oh, look at that. I still have some 78s.
Here's how the speakers work.
Loud or
yeah.
2 volumes?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that thing fly. Those 78s, man, they just moved.
Yep. This is my first race car. I was racing.
This one right here?
I was racing when I was 5. Yeah.
Little Mark fit in that?
Yeah, back then.
This is not a pedal, right? This is
this got the engine in it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So your parents, I mean, your dad obviously was into this. Was your mom a little like?
No, she didn't like the racing. I got in a wreck one time in Ventura, and 2 cars rolled over the top of me, and she said, Mark's not going to race anymore. And my dad said, I think he is. So he fabricated another. He was good with safety. He fabricated another roll bar here. And there's a picture of me when I was 5, and he took me to a leather shop, and he had a harness made for me. So not only did I have a seatbelt, but I had a shoulder harness back then, and that was nobody
you were
had.
Probably the only one with it, right?
Yeah. And he made the chassis. Look at, he got my initials in the front nerf bar and stuff. So kind of cool. This picture was taken in 1958, April 13th, and I was racing. I was born in 52, so I was 6, and that's me in the car, and my sister and my dad. And it was picture day that day, and I won the main event that day, and that's the trophy from April 13th, 1958. So.
Hey, Mr. Cameraman, get a picture of his poster.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. I won the main event that day, and that was April 13th, 1958. So, kind of cool to, bring back the memories. And
I'm guessing Dad didn't have to talk you into getting in this thing. You probably couldn't wait.
Yeah, we had a lot of, fun.
How fast?
I mean, originally, I used, when my dad built this, I'd run around the islands in the service station. And that's how, before we ever ran around the racetrack, yeah.
So how fast is it?
Probably 30 miles an hour.
Okay.
But it's pretty fast when you're 6.
And it's all right back there, the engine?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like 2-stroke?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's a 4-stroke.
It is 4-stroke.
Yeah, it is a 4-stroke. They had valves in. It's like a Briggs and Stratton type of
I'm familiar with that.
lawnmower engine, but they were kind of more hopped up a little bit.
Okay.
And they had a live axle. There was no centrifugal clutch, so when these guys started, your dad would pick up the back of the car and you'd run with it and bounce it, and you'd go.
Oh, really?
And then if you spun out and killed it, then you'd have to come out and pick it up and start it again.
Okay, so I was going to ask you if you were double clutching, but it's pretty much once you got that going and in gear.
Yeah, once you have a throttle on the one side, and this is the brake.
Oh, that's a cool brake handle.
Yeah,
it's nice.
So
that looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, when you're young, it's a lot of fun.
And fearless, and is this beer or soda?
No, that would have been a soda out of a soda fountain.
I see the A&W up there.
That came out of it was an old wooden Pepsi root beer dispenser.
That's a pretty unique piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I even saw. I take it these are early turbochargers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You can't tell me that's a TV.
This was like an entertainment center, and one of the guys that was in our car club, his parents bought this brand new in '47. So it's got plays 78s, and it's got the TV, and look at the craftsmanship there.
Oh yeah.
And then the radio, but look at even the call signs were like KTLA, and
oh my God,
you know,
that's great.
to the LA area. That's the only radio stations. But I found this in the back of it. And that's that unit there, and they paid $1,395 for it in '47.
Wow, that's
Only the wealthy could afford that.
That's a ton of money.
You could buy a house for that back then.
And what you got? There's got to be only like one TV station at the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
Two maybe.
At least you could get the Lone Ranger and Popeye and.
Well, so I mean, you must have to sit right here.
Yeah.
But wow, I've seen them on TV or in picture. I've never seen one in person. That is really cool. And a casket.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an 1800s little trolley for pulling caskets around.
And hopefully, I see it said Foghorn, but it didn't have anybody else. But you've got the dynamite thing above the casket that might have taken them away. Plus, we have a viewing hole.
Yeah, Grandma's in there.
Somebody is in there.
Yeah.
That caught me off guard. That's
yeah,
funny.
Grandma's in there.
Earlier, we were talking about that. It's a Hall of Fame, right?
Dry Racing Hall of Fame, yeah.
It's right in there, but you're going to have to come up here and see it for yourself. That's a little bit of a tease. That's a room with a lot of great things, a lot of good pictures.
Good memories. And
you got to come see it. I saw one that you got to tell me, we'll just anecdotally talk about it. It said it's a bike or a motorcycle, but it looks like kind of like a car like that, but it said
it was a belly tank, probably a Streamliner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
might have been a belly tank. They made race cars out of the belly tanks that were on airplanes that used to carry fuel.
Oh.
And they're aerodynamic.
So again, a way of classifying it. You call it this certain thing, but
different style of race car.
Yeah, it looks different than what we think of today as the same. Okay. All right. Look at all these signs. Now, Foster Freeze. I just saw an interesting thing about Foster Freeze and why their name. They were bought by Dairy Queen, or they're Dairy Queen, but California at the time said you didn't have enough dairy, so you couldn't call it Dairy Queen, so it became Foster Freeze. It was an LA in a Minute story I saw online, but that was cool. Oh, I didn't notice your telephone booth. So I can be Superman. I can change. Superman has a home and can change his clothes here.
We have a couple of them, actually. That one, and I
don't see those anymore.
I have a wooden one in one of the rooms, too.
Oh, really?
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. That was out in front of our service station, too.
Oh, so that's, again, another great connection. In the 76 ball.
Yeah, that came from...
that is iconic.
That came from the station here in town, yeah.
Ah, that is great.
Yeah.
Now, why don't we have rotating signs like this anymore? Why? I mean, it's like all these cool signs that really drew you in.
Well, back in the day, in Santa Barbara County, they passed an ordinance saying you couldn't have that sign revolve because it was a distraction on the highway. And look at today, all the LED neon signs, the blinking signs, and
I remember I just had to get to a 76 station and talk about, because they got stingy after a while. You couldn't just get those balls. They wanted you to like buy gas.
Yeah.
Like, God, I don't want that. I
yeah,
just want
I have
the
a bunch of little balls that went on the antennas. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and now hardly you don't have antennas anymore.
I know.
The shapes are so different. You can't put anything on it.
Have to put it on the end of your pencil.
Yeah. Wow, you got an El Camino Real sign too. Wow, you got a little bit of everything here.
So in this room, I have kind of more of the unique pumps that have been restored and stuff, and like this particular pump, it's not aesthetically, it's not the coolest looking pump, but they only made 25 of these pumps, and they were coin operated.
I think you could put a coin into it, huh?
And they in 1925, and it took quarters, 50-cent pieces, and silver dollars.
Oh my God!
So
cool.
That's kind of unique.
It could be a 24-hour station.
Yeah, and that was like the full first self-serve. And all the dealers back then in 1925, they didn't like that. They tried suing the guy because they said it wasn't safe for somebody to come and pump their own gas. And I don't know what it was costing him a day, but he ended up winning the lawsuit.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that's cool.
Smart guy. I noticed, I mean, the metal has changed a lot to be secure for the coinage. I mean, look at the thickness of that.
Of course, there wasn't the vandalism there is today.
That's true. We're some Bonnie and Clydes in every corner, you know.
Exactly.
But I'm still amazed at all the different names I'm just not familiar with at all.
That's because there were so many different oil companies.
Now, with that pump, is that Richfield, and it's got a display case under the pump?
Yeah, this is a Wayne 50 display pump. So they were made between 35 and 38, and that's just exactly the way they'd been out on the island, just showing what they sell. And
so you could be sitting there, so I'm in my car, ting, 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 or it went a lot slower in those days. And I'm like, oh, dude, you know, I could use one of those for my lady.
Exactly.
You know,
today they have a camera that you can watch the news or
so
whatever.
the guy could upsell you maybe and send you home with an extra can of oil or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I have a lot of little Richfield knickknacks and like the service pins for the dealers and some old Richfield credit cards and stuff. And
so do you get a lot of support from the companies back then with your stores, or was it mainly through tchotchkes and things like that?
It just depended on who your retail rep was. If you had a good rep, they took care of you. If you had a bad one, they didn't take care of you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Even now this mobile one, I don't know, there's something about the way that mobile's spelled out. It looks like
they call that a script pump. See the top, the light?
Yeah.
It's
so
like,
it's backlit then?
Yeah.
Okay, because the light, I'm not quite... So that's interesting. I like that. And then we talked about this in another room, but we weren't on camera. The oil.
So most of the oil back in those days, through the 50s, when a guy delivered gasoline, you know, it wasn't like a big tanker truck today. He would have gasoline in a smaller tank, because they had small tanks back then. But he was also bring you oil in bulk. And they'd pump oil into these. They called it a high boy. And what they did was, that would be the oil, and they put the oil in the bottle. This would open up, and they would pump a bottle full of oil, and then you'd put that in your car, and then they'd come back and fill it back up. So
interesting.
That's how they
saved a lot of waste, the stuff going into the landfill, the plastic and all the other containers.
There was no.
But it took labor.
Yeah.
So eventually labor lost to.
Yeah, to plastic cans, and as you were talking about the oil cans with the can spout.
Yeah.
So yeah, originally the oil cans were metal, and then they became cardboard.
Yeah.
You know, and then they became plastic, but. That's a regular can oil spout like that.
Yeah, I have nowhere to do with it. You know, nothing to punch it into. But I also had visions of was that Steve Martin movie, The Jerk, when the motor oil got all shot up and they thought they were shooting at him. That's pretty funny. So still the weights are pretty much the same, W20. Though now they call them like 10W. I don't know if that's really any different. They add a little. Now I also notice gas.
It's because the clearances on the engines are different today.
Okay. I see gas. I don't really see diesel. I don't see a bunch of different grades. When did that start changing at a certain time, or you go a different place for diesel?
No, I mean it just depends on how the pump's labeled. So, like this is a signal pump. It's a dual pump. Well, you had ethyl on one side and regular on the other.
So ethyl would have been supreme or the high grade.
Right, exactly. And ethyl was always the one with the highest octane.
Now, would that have been 90 in those days? Or in the 90s?
Chevron had a 105 octane.
Really? Wow. That Crown one in the corner is kind of cool looking. Mm-hmm. Now, is that a British one, or is that North American?
That was standard
Everything
oil.
here American?
Yeah.
Okay.
This particular pump, they called it a May West because of the way it was shaped.
I see that. Yeah.
No, that's how they call them a May West. But
and then that sign at the bottom, guaranteed liquid measure. So that means that's certified that up there is 10 gallons. You're going to get 10 gallons.
Yeah, that particular one is a 5-gallon. Most of them were 10. There was some 15.
So the next one, the Mohawk gasoline, that's 10.
Right.
This one's 5. Mm-hmm. Okay. And did you just visually watch? Did you hear ding ding like we did with the newer machines?
No, not then.
Just a visual of it coming down.
Because those were. See the pumps on them? The tank would have been underground, and you'd physically pump the gas up into them.
When you say you, do you mean the guy running the
service station attendant
guy would do it?
Yeah, you'd pump it up. Then you'd pump the gas out, and then after the customer would leave, you pump it back up, so it was always full. Okay. Well, then as it progressed and it went to electric motors, then the electric motors ran the gas, and usually they had a bell in there every time you hit a gallon, it would ding, ding, ding.
There's your green stamp sign up there. You had to know that was available. Mm-hmm. Now this is interesting, a little flip front on this poly gas.
Yeah, they call that a clock face. because it looks like a clock, but that was actually, you can see the gallons.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, and even the chairs. I mean, they really did good at labeling and getting their brand and
promoting
branding.
yeah.
Promoting. Yeah, this is really wonderful. Wow, looking at that clock down there, and it's just this is a visual delight for the sensors. I mean, I'm just like going, wow. Every time I turn around, it's like it's really amazing.
So that's kind of what we have.
Well, plus a lot more that we're not showing. They
Yeah,
gotta get
right.
out here to Buellton.
They're going to have to come to Buellton, and otherwise they'll get in their virtual tour.
Because I'm thinking, we could kind of tease them. There's a really cool convertible Cadillac to see, right?
Yeah, there's a cool
Mustang.
A Mustang with 67 fastback.
Making different turns than I expected. Fastback. Now it's got some real nice history, very low mileage. Really, really be something to see.
Got a cool tow truck.
That tow truck was awesome. It's like, see, I'm teasing everybody. You got to come down and see this.
Got a cool land speed car. Got a cool pump plate room.
It's just
and also, when you come here, you get to go into my house and see my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's all done in 50s style.
Nice.
Our cabinets are red. They look like Snap-on toolboxes.
Really? So it's got a little Art Deco feel?
Yeah, it's all Art Deco.
Oh, that's really nice.
Signs and stuff. So there's quite a bit to see.
And on a normal tour, would some of the hours be at night where you get to see everything lit up?
Not unless we have an event.
But you could have corporate events, weddings, whatever kind of tickled your fancy. You could have it here.
Yeah,
Phone
contact
call?
me and we can see what you want to do. Sometimes we barbecue or outside caterers come in.
Mark, that is, I'm a little lost for words. That's an amazing collection and museum you have here. And I'm like this motorhead. I mean, I love cars. I just don't know as much as I would have liked to about it. My dad died when I was pretty young, so we never really had something to get together on that. And my friends weren't really car people, so when I see it, and I can really appreciate it. We did used to go to the drag strip together. Orange County, you know that drag strip, right? It's not there anymore.
Yeah, Lions, and there's a bunch of drag races.
Yeah, Wilmington, Lions, it's killing me. I can't remember the Orange County one, but it was great to go see those cars and the roar. You could feel it. And then I remember some of these when I was a kid. They were kind of phasing out, but.
Well, what's really cool about our collection is that there's something for everybody to see, and it brings back memories. I really enjoy doing the tours for older people of our generation because, they remember the old gas pumps and pumping gas and full serve and all that. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun because they'll be walking around and they'll see something that jolts their memory. And there are a lot of stories. It's just like us collecting. There's a story behind every gas pump, every sign, every globe where we got it and that. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was jolted a bunch of times because there was like memory things going on left and right here. So
well, thanks a lot for coming.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah,
thank you.
Appreciate it.